This is what they want. You know, when you see Kissinger trying to promote a new world order in the 70s, right up until today in 2009, shouldn't you think to yourself, man, he's still promoting this idea, and he is not the only one. And again, I'm going to show you so many people who use this term, people like Hans Blix, you know, somebody who's supposed to be on our side, the UN weapons inspector that said Iraq didn't have weapons of mass destruction. He's actually pro Bush's 1990s version of a new world order. Okay, we're going to show you Wesley Clark talking about a new world order. We're going to show you John Kerry using the terminology New World Order. Cornel West, you know, this establishment leader that's so into Barack Obama being president. Give me a break, Cornel. You know, he's just another puppet of the establishment. Is it some kind of a victory that we have a black member of the establishment? No, it's not a victory, okay? It's not a victory. It would have been a victory if we got somebody like Cynthia McKinney in there. It's not a victory at all when we have somebody who is so slick, so well-spoken, out in front of America, just lying through his teeth to them. I mean, he'll literally talk about the death panels. He'll tell you they just don't exist, that that's just totally a lie. It's made up. And then you read the legislation, and it does exist. All right, let's continue with the calls. Ted in Texas. Ted, you are on the line, sir.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for taking my call. I enjoyed listening to that preview of your movie. It sounded very interesting. All those voices from the past. Wow, you must have done a lot of hardcore editing there and stuff.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Yeah. Go check it out on YouTube. It looks even better than it sounds, I promise you. What else you got for me, Ted?
Lockerbie?
Yes.
Or the guy that they just let him go. Mm-hmm. Well, they had, since they were talking about it in the newspaper so much, they had pictures from back then, and you could actually see wreckage of a plane. You could see the big, the front of the plane, the nose cone in the cabin.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, you know, how come we never saw pictures like that for all the stuff from 9/11, you know?
Yeah, why is it that plane goes down in Lockerbie, leaves a huge gash on the ground? Even with that huge gash, there's parts of wings, a huge part of the cockpit, the nose cone, like you said. The entire cockpit is almost intact. Yet, on 9/11, magically, Flight 93 went into a soft dirt pile, or so they tell us, and there's just no wreckage whatsoever. There's a wheel. You get to see a wheel, sir, and then 8 miles of wreckage over and a lot of the debunkers will say, oh, there wasn't 8 miles strewn of wreckage. That's a lie. If you look into it, it's 8 miles on Google Maps, but if you actually go to Indian Lake, it's only 1 or 2 miles away. No, they found wreckage from supposedly Flight 93, but they found wreckage over a mountain range in New Baltimore 8 miles away. That's what the debunkers don't want to tell you. And, you know, there's that one video where you kind of get more of a look, not just of that open field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where there's obviously no plane that day. And you can see that something might have happened. There's some debris strewn about, but nothing bigger than maybe a phone book. That's what the news reporter says, and she's right. There's nothing there. So what really did happen to Flight 93?
Pentagon, you know, all you got left there is a hole for, you know, a big jet airplane.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because National Geographic is about to probably do another big hit piece on 9/11 Truth. That's coming up tomorrow at 9 p.m. You know, I thought it was on tonight, so I thought I was going to miss some of it and going to have to tape it and watch it later tonight. But I might watch the entire thing tomorrow evening and maybe give a report on the Alex Jones show of the propaganda that they spew, because all of these, they always nitpick. They always want to talk about the cell phones and try to disprove those, even though the CBC in Canada, the mainline network there, they did a special on us and 9/11 Truth about 2 years ago now, and they had to admit that cell phones do not work at 30,000 feet. They don't even work at 15,000 feet. They were rather sympathetic, but I don't know if we're going to get that in the United States. Apparently, the Discovery Channel is also going to be airing one of these documentaries on September 10th, so get ready for the propaganda. I thank you for the call, Ted. Great points. I mean, yeah, this Lockerbie crash, there's a plane there. In fact, every other plane crash I've seen, guess what? There's a plane. So you can't tell me that a 757 or a 767 went down in an open field and there's no tail section, there's no wing section, there's no cockpit, there's no fire. What's going on? Yet we're the suckers who buy into it, and if people like me speak up and shout there's no plane there, I'm the nut job. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. Back after this, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv.
Hello, friends. This is Alex Jones, and I want each of you to ask yourself this question. Do you really know what's in your tap water? In a recent study conducted by a major environmental auditor, they found that over 260 chemicals and pollutants are present in municipal drinking water. Many of these chemicals are directly linked to cancer, reproductive, immune, and developmental system diseases. Now, what are you going to do about it? The Ecola Blue atmospheric water generator is a low-cost way to take back control of you and your family's drinking water. The Ecola Blue 28 produces up to 7 gallons of water from the humidity in the atmosphere and uses state-of-the-art carbon filtration, reverse osmosis, and ultraviolet light sterilization techniques. That's right, clean water right from the air you breathe. Order today by calling 1-800-691-6043. That's 1-800-691-6043. Or visit Ecola Blue on the web at www.ecoloblu.com today. That's ecolablue.com.
All right, I'm going to continue to take your calls, and then on the other side, I'm going to read this again because it was just so powerful. Common Sense 2009 by Larry Flint. I really think he hit the nail on the head and really went further than just about any other mainline establishment figure out there. And we know that Hustler has been, you know, you could say what you want about Hustler magazine. I'm not saying I'm pro-pornography. Personally, I think what you do in your bedroom is your own business. But this man has published 9/11 truth articles that are fair. This man was the only person who would tackle the fact that there is video of Timothy McVeigh on military bases after he was officially out of the military. Okay, this guy did it. And he is a champion of free speech. He got shot for it. He's in a chair because of it. And that's the bottom line. Steve in Texas. Steve, you're on the line.
Good afternoon, Jason. Hey, first of all, I wanted to say, don't go laughing too much. You were talking earlier about nitrous oxide, because before you know it, what they're going to be doing is taxing you by the laugh in relation to the carbon tax, because all the carbon dioxide you're going to expend from laughing. See,
I wish that wasn't funny, but it is funny because it's probably true.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what they'll end up doing. A few things I just want to cover real quickly. First of all, you mentioned earlier about Jenna Bush going to work for the Today Show. If I recollect correctly, isn't this the same Bush daughter that was used to set up a member of We Are Change in New York City who was then assaulted by a guy with a girl in a wheelchair and falsely charged for assaulting her?
Not only that, but if you look at it, first of all, she's an accomplished author, and that was one of the books. She'd done a children's book, and they had this promotional tour, and yes, it is the same daughter. And what's crazy about that is not only did they have the Secret Service and the local police, the New York City cops, testify against German Gary Tallis, but they had the girl in a wheelchair go and testify. First of all, she's in a wheelchair. They had her in a Girl Scout uniform with a puppy. And they still lost. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They tried to set this guy up every which way from Sunday. They had no video evidence, no evidence whatsoever. And they knew that the guys at We Are Change knew the deck was stacked against them. Thank God, justice prevailed in that one case. They couldn't even convict him of something he didn't do with a girl in a wheelchair with a puppy in a Girl Scout uniform. I mean, that's over the top. Oh, with a mild form of cerebral palsy, by the way. I mean, wow.
Go with the establishment rewarding a good little puppet for playing her part and setting up a guy that's for truth. Mm-hmm. The second thing I wanted to mention, I want to cover something about the swine flu real quick. First of all, I wanted to say, you mentioned Facebook earlier and their new policy. You must be really busy because this has been out for at least 6 months now. Yeah, what they've said is that you can go on their site, and a bunch of people at Facebook actually came up with a movement against this. They have a policy where now instead of when you delete your profile, they delete all your information. Now they're saying they keep everything you've put on there. It becomes their property, and they're to use at their discretion any way they please.
No, I remember that because I did cover that again, but I want to say it was last week. There was a Reuters headline in the thing, and it said that they had changed their policy again. This one's more recent. I'm going to have to look into it, but I do know what you're talking about. But people revolted, and apparently they backed down from that. I don't know if they backed down or they only backed down for a little while, and that's what this new policy change is. What else you got for me, Steve?
Okay, real quick. On the swine flu, there's a site if you go to, it's MSNBC, but there's this person on there who calls herself Dr. Nancy, and I actually saved this in my favorites from back like in April, where she interviews these people on there that are nurses and doctors, etc. But one thing they said on there was that the CDC, or the WHO, the World Health Organization, was projecting 2 billion people to die worldwide from the swine flu.
Wow, 1/3 of the population. Incredible. Thank you so much for the call, Stephen. I don't think 1/3 of the population is going away because of the swine flu. I don't even think 1/3 of the population is going to go away if they inject us with poison, folks. But that's just my opinion. We'll be back after this. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas.